With so many pneumatic massages on the market today, how do you tell the difference between budget and bougie? The Don't Think Channel, checking in. Jonathan here, and with thousands of different pneumatic massagers on the market today, we are going to review the two main types that make up 99% of all of them. We're going to go over category by category to help you decide which is going to be the right one for you. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome aboard. On this channel, I like to just cover things that come across my desk and intersect my daily life. First things first, who actually needs a pneumatic massager? Do you need to be an athlete? Do you need to be The Rock? The truth is, in my opinion, a pneumatic massager is like a set of crutches. Every household should have at least one, at the very least, in case of an emergency. But for most people, if you have one, you'll use them when you get tough, tight muscles, when you're feeling achy, or just to help your overall blood flow. Now, if you go on Amazon.com, you're going to find tens of thousands of different massagers, but the majority of them break down into two distinct categories. They are in a pistol shape like you see here. You've got your large and you've got your mini. Now, where do you think most of the pneumatic massagers are made? Any guesses? The truth is, they're almost all made in the same few factories. And even though they may look different on Amazon, they actually have the same internal parts, at least the majority of them, and just different outer casings for the large and for the small. So even though you can try to look to see what the differences are, rest assured that they're probably all made in the same neighborhood. And even though they might not be identical, they're probably stepbrothers. The biggest difference between the two is, of course, the size. The bigger models are heavier. They're harder to hold. They are harder to use because for most of the time, you're going to be giving yourself the massage. So it's harder to get into some of the tougher, harder to reach places. And the benefit of it actually being bigger is that it is more powerful. It has a stronger stall force. So you can give yourself a deeper, more powerful massage than you can with the mini. As far as cost, whether you go with the bigger version or the smaller version, it can range greatly. Everywhere from as low as $35 and as high as like $500. I'll tell you straight away, do not go budget. Don't go cheap. For many of us, we look at it, we want to get the cheapest thing out there, and it will absolutely burn out very quickly, and you're never going to be able to find that company you bought it off of after a few months go by anyway. You really want to stay in that $50 to $100 price range. That's where the real good value is in terms of good performance with regards to paying a fair price. When you go to the higher end models, I find that you get very good performance, but not so much that it's worth that higher price tag. How often do you expect to be using this pneumatic massager? And let's just be realistic, one time a week at most. When you first get it in, yeah, you're going to use it for the first 2 or 3 weeks every day. Great. After that phase is done, you're going to have it and you're going to just kind of bust it out when you're feeling sore after a tough workout or when you wake up with the Charlie horse on your calf. That's when you're going to use it. This isn't something you're going to probably use realistically every day of the week. Another thing to consider, and something that can range greatly with cost, is in fact the noise, especially if you live with other people. The bigger ones in general tend to be louder, but the more you pay, the more quiet it ends up getting. So that's max volume, max power on this Talk Fit, just to give you perspective. And this one tends to be on the quieter side of the bigger models. So this is max volume, max power for the Arborleaf mini massager gun. And I don't know if YouTube is doing this justice, but it sounds almost about the same in terms of decibels as this Talk Fit that I showed you earlier. Overall, these are both relatively quiet, and I don't think the person in the room next to me would be disturbed if I was using this for any significant amount of time. Battery life. As you can imagine, the bigger one is going to have a bigger battery. But I will tell you that battery life just doesn't matter, because most of us, when we give ourselves a massage, 5 minutes is gonna feel like forever. And if you went 10 minutes, you're gonna feel like you went a marathon of massaging. So having a 2 or 5 hour battery life doesn't necessarily matter, because after a few weeks, it's still gonna have charge, and you just plug it in every couple weeks. You're not gonna notice or care whether you have a max battery or just a mini battery. Attachments. This is something that does and doesn't matter. a lot of the selling point when it comes to these massage guns is how many attachments that they come with. And the truth is, you're only ever going to use 2 or 3 attachments in the entire life of owning a pneumatic massager. So having 15 or 20 attachments, it's not really anything to write home about. It's not really a selling point. However, you want to make sure the attachments aren't cheap. As you can see, the arbor leaf attachments actually have like a silicone tip onto theirs, making them very smooth and very comfortable over your skin. The Talk Fit comes in just basic plastic, almost like a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. So some of the cheaper attachments aren't going to feel as nice as some of the higher end attachments like this. So when you are looking at attachments, don't look at the number, but look rather at the quality. Another marketing tool that people try to steer you in one direction or another is the amount of settings. How many different settings does this thing have on here? Well, the Talk Fit has 20. It has from 1 to 20 in terms of power levels. This one has 4, 1 to 4 in terms of power levels. And the truth is, it doesn't matter. This might have 20, but I've only ever used 2. I used the lowest, the middle, and the highest. Same with this. You're going to use the lowest, the highest, and maybe the middle if you're feeling kind of in between. The truth is, it doesn't matter how many settings you have. You're only ever going to use like low, medium, and high. Warranties. Another marketing tool that companies use to just pull you in. And they don't matter. If you buy it off of Amazon, and most of you are going to buy your pneumatic massagers off of Amazon, and it breaks in the first few months, you call up Amazon, they're going to make it right. If you buy a good one, or even if you buy one, it's like $50 plus with good value, it's going to last you a long period of time. And when it does finally croak after 4 or 5 years, it's not going to owe you anything. You're just going to buy the newest, latest, greatest version. Now, I've had my oldest one for 4 years. It still works. It still gets the job done. Now, if you happen to be an athletic trainer and work for a football team and you're using this thing 15, 20 times a day, yeah, it's going to break quicker than if you're just using it for home use. But for most of us normal human beings, you're going to get plenty of life out of any good massager that you buy. It's time. It is time for my final thoughts. And personally, at least from my experience, I prefer the minis over the bigger models. Now, many people, when they look at these, they think it's got more power. I need as much power output as I can get. But the truth is, I'm 6'1", 190, and the mini, this mini thing, this little pocket rocket gets the job done, and it gets deep into the muscle. It feels great, and it's a lot easier to use. You're going to find, especially if you're just a normal human being, that these things can get very difficult. They can get very heavy when using them, and over time, you're going to just be glad you've got maybe the slightly less powered one, but frankly, it's going to get the job done, and everything you can throw at it in a household use, especially if you're not some Samoan front lineman for the NFL. Now, if you want to see more of my top picks for pneumatic massagers, check out this video. And if you came this far in the video, you and I are like Dave Portnoy and Pizza Reviews. We're like Joe Biden and... hey, we're best friends. Thanks for watching, and as usual, don't save anything for the trip back.